saw the Korean Zombie have that walkout, and I got inspired to potentially get back into the pool and do all this kind of stuff. Anybody that knows me or talked to me, you being one of those people, knew that Jim was the name that was like, if I'm going to do it, I want it to be against a guy like Jim, somebody that's around my age, that's been in the game for a long time. I'm not trying to come back and make a run for the belt or anything like that. But
no Shavkat, no.
Yeah, whoever that person was that wanted to have me murdered, they're clearly out from my head. That suggested that fight. And I go back and forth as any athlete does between feeling inspired and in the gym one day, and I train in Philly with a lot of very good, hungry, up-and-coming guys. So you can get a little bit frustrated going into the gym. So I'm in and out all the time between going to Marquez MMA and training with Sean and Joe Pfeiffer and all these guys. Recently, I've been back on a triathlon kick, and I was like, man, I don't know if I want to come back anymore. And when we talked to Jim in the fighter meetings, obviously the people around me are kind of egging it on and pushing me. And I was like, if you call me out, Jim, it's something that I'd be interested in doing. He's like, if you get me a job sitting next to you at the desk, we'll make it a deal. And I think they'll be calling him for at least an audition coming up soon. So when he said that, it's like, fuck, now he's setting me up. All the things that I said, well, if he does this, if this happens, then I'd be interested in doing it. It's just, I got to get back in the gym and see how things feel.
Okay, so it's not a definite yes right now. You want to see how your body feels and stuff, but
well, it's also up to the UFC too, right? Like I obviously haven't pressed the issue. Sean knew that he wanted to test me out and see if I was just being flaky, and I've done it in the past where I'm like, I'm coming back, I'm gonna make a run for it, I'm gonna do all this, and then I just don't. So I got to see if they even interested in that fight happening. But to do it on a legendary card like that would be incredible. I got to talk to my wife, too. I already messaged her. I was like, Jim called me out. And she just sent me back like the hand-on-face emojis. But, of course, all my friends, all the teammates, all those people, even Twitter, I had people sending me what people are saying about it. So it's definitely a possibility. I got to go home, and I'll probably have a fun night tonight and then get back into – seeing how the body feels. I'm in phenomenal shape. I'm in the best shape of my adult life in the last few years. I just haven't been fighting.
It would be fair to say that we've seen guys finish their career in the Apex. And the Apex is great, right? It serves a purpose.
Yeah.
But it's not where any fighter who fought at this level sees how they're going out, right? To be able to go out one last time in front of a crowd at UFC 300 against the guy who fought at the hundreds. Is there a better way you could ask to leave?
No, not at all. And that's why it's so tough, right? And so tempting and, leaning towards wanting to do it because it's Jim, as he wants to be called at UFC 300, Jim fucking Miller. I mean, he's awesome. He fights awesome. Especially, I get to see that fight right in front of my eyes, right? Where it's a leg kick battle. It's a stand-up battle. Primarily, obviously, he finished him on the ground, as Jim can do. But, I mean, if it's going to be a fight like that, then I think the fans would eat it up because, I'm not shooting any takedowns in there, especially against Jim. I'm not putting my neck out on the line like that. So it would definitely be a fun fight. Probably be like the first fight of the freaking night, to be honest with you, though, the way these cards stack up. And
Paul,
I'm a nobody now.
Just quick, is there any downside you look at? It's like UFC 300, the big card, a guy you wanted to, match against and everything. Seems like everything sets up perfectly. Are there any downsides when you sit and think about it quietly?
Of course. I mean, what if it goes terribly wrong? I've established myself as a broadcaster for a while now. I've been trying to get back into acting. I'm working on a film now with a script that I think is amazing, with a cast that I think is amazing. It's just awesome independent film that I can't talk about because it's, none of the information's out there yet. But that went really well, and I'm actually playing an actual acting role. It's not me playing an MMA fighter. It's not me playing myself. It's me really getting back to what I went to school for when I was a young man. I went to school for acting. I wanted to get back into that. And, you don't want your last image to be a bad one, right? So it could go wrong. So there's definitely that downside, right? But that's fighting every single time ever. That's the only real downside that I see is what if there is one more injury at the end of my career? What if I turn down some broadcasting jobs and then I get injured at the last minute and I can't make it to the fight? Or Jim gets injured and can't make it to the fight. There's a lot of what ifs in fighting, unfortunately. Did it?
What are you walking around at right now?
Weight-wise, on my heaviest, I'm still under 180 pounds. I'm probably about 176, 175 pounds most days.
And what a great way would be to come back and get the resources of Las Vegas, PI, and everybody that you've known and built a relationship with, both
Yeah.
as a fighter and professional, to just be like, okay, this is going to be the easiest cut and potentially ever.
Yeah, it would be a super easy cut. I mean, I walk around way leaner, but I'm also, my strength has changed in the last few years. I've been extremely into doing these endurance races, right? So my legs are machines, to be completely honest with you, and I can swim like crazy. I can run for hours. I can bike for hours. The upper body has obviously lost a little bit in that. So it would definitely be, I would have to quickly start training in the weight room a bit more. Not that I'd want to ever I don't want to bulk back up and then have to cut all that weight all over again, which is what I bitched about back when I was actually fighting. So I wouldn't try to gain significant weight, but I would definitely want to get stronger up top and not be as skinny as I am now.
And, just to add to the temptation, Jim Miller said he would even go to 170 for UFC 300, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to just walk in there and not cut any weight, that's even better I think for me and Jim, right? I mean, he's been doing this for how long? We've both never missed weight. Him significantly more times than I have had to do, but that's why I've always admired the guy. I don't know if people even remember, we were supposed to fight like what seems like 100 years ago at this point, but after I knocked out Danny Castillo, the UFC gave me a big opportunity on the Newark card against Jim, and Beneil Dariush ended up stepping in and taking that when I injured my knee. So this is a fight that should have, supposed to happen a long time ago.
April 2015.
What is it, April 2015? Like, come on.
Well, whatever.
2015.
That's awesome. Thank you, Alex. Whatever decision you make, I'll co-sign heavy. I'm good. And if you were to win UFC 300, get that trilogy with Charles Oliveira going.
Yeah, sign me up for that. I want a new contract, though, if I'm fighting that guy. He's a different beast from when I fought him back in 2017, which is another lifetime ago still.
What's the time frame that you're right here?
Oh, sorry.
What's the time frame you're looking at in terms of like when you need to know if this is going to happen?
It would have to be like next. We'd have to be talking next week. I still have a contract, so all that stuff's set in stone. It's just I gotta talk to the family. I also gotta talk to Zach Candido and the guys because there's some shows that I'm obviously set to broadcast that. I don't know how much traveling I want to do. If they're in Vegas, no problem. But I mean, I'm supposed to go to Mexico City and call all those fights, which is towards the end of next month. That would be the heart of a training camp, and that's a big travel to go to Mexico City to a crazy elevation that I'm not adjusted to. So I'd basically get nothing done if I went and did that. So, yeah, I'll see what my manager says. I'll see what Sean Shelby says. I'll see what, again, my wife really says, and my mom, more importantly. No, not more importantly, but I'm going to get killed for that one. We'll cut that one out. But, we'll see what the people around me think. But again, I'm the fittest I've ever been. So.
Would you, just since we have you here, what did you think of how Ankalaev looked?
Oh, man. I thought he took his time. He knew that Johnny from the last fight, he is extremely explosive and is going to pull some crazy stuff out, really embellishing the body shot to flying knees. He came out, did the same thing, axe kicks, chopping the legs, doing crazy stuff, and he was just like, okay. And me and Michael even said it on the broadcast. You could see when he started. The second round came out, and he went right across and started throwing bigger combinations. I think he felt what he needed to feel. He said he was going to either knock him out or TKO him, and he did exactly that. I thought that was the performance that he needed if he's going to get on the mic and then start calling for title shots.
And I wonder, do you think he deserves a title shot, or do you think somebody like a Jamal Hill would be a good guy for him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got to see how they want to shake it out. I wouldn't argue with it, but yeah, I just want to see him get at least another big fight or, throw him in there. I mean, we got to see how Jamal is. I saw him tonight, and he says things are healing up. He's looking good. You could tell he's chomping at the bit to get back in there, and that's what I want. I want to see him fight for sure.
Hey, Paul. Obviously, Manel Kopp missed weight on Friday, and you have probably the most epic weight miss rant of all time. Has your stance changed, or is it still strict?
Oh man, I know that there's certain circumstances that can slow you down, right? But if you're on top of it from the beginning, even if you get sick or something puts a little bit of a halt to the progress of your cutting weight, to me, there's still not many excuses out there because you know for however many weeks. Now, granted, you take fights on short notice. You get a bit of an asterisk next to your name. Like, okay, I understand. You missed. Shame on you, but we understand. But if you've had a full camp, 3.5, it's a lot of weight, man. That's a lot of weight. And I know what these guys and girls do to themselves to make this weight. And I've been there, and I've been through some horrific moments to make that weight when I could have just been like, oh, you know, I'll just go on pound heavy. I'll give up some of my money. It pisses me off, especially when we got an amazing event, you know, co-main event like that, a rematch, and a first fight was awesome, very close. These guys are trying to position themselves for a flyweight title, and then you go and you blow it. So it's sad to see. I feel bad for him, but you know, it's frustrating.
What was your and your team's original approach on gym when you were supposed to fight back in the day?
My God. No, I mean, the approach, part of the approach always with me is to just batter your legs as much as possible. I was also training with Donald Cerrone at the time, who had already beaten Jim with a head kick from obviously I'm Orthodox, so my right head kick is there. I'm a taller fighter compared to Jim, same as Cowboy. So obviously we were looking to attack from the right side, to the body, to the head, soften up that inside leg, and look for knees up the middle. I was not looking to take him down and test his grappling skills. That's for sure.
For sure, and obviously ever since your last fight, we've seen you more and more in the broadcast booth. Has anything from this broadcast perspective changed your view on any fighting-related topic?
Well, one of the things I get to see, right, is I get to interview all these athletes and then see how they perform, see where their mental side is. So it kind of really makes you understand that showing up healthy and in a good mental place is so important. It's more important than anything. Let me put it this way, and I've learned a lot from also being an athlete in a different sport, right, and talking to the world-class athletes in a completely different running, swimming, biking, all this kind of stuff. You're better off showing up slightly undertrained than you are to show up overtrained. If you show up overtrained and out of it, you're f***ed. If you show up like, man, I wish I would have pushed it a little bit more, but you're completely healthy, you're going to do better. So save it. Save it, save it. And I'm a person that did the exact opposite my entire career. And that's also what's so tempting about, let me just dip my toes back in one more time. I've learned so much about being an athlete. I was already a fighter. I'm not one of those guys that was ever lacking that. The toughness, the heart, durability, had that. Pushing myself too hard and being an absolute idiot in training, yeah, I was really good at that. Now I'd like to blend those two things.
Awesome. And last one for me, as a broadcaster, and in this MMA space where a lot of people know each other, have friends, teammates, how hard is it to sometimes keep your emotions in check? Maybe when like a buddy is fighting or someone. I know people like to refer back to the Jared Gordon, Bobby Green accident or incident. I mean, how is it like?
It's tough, and I've been told I don't think I'll ever call a Jared Gordon fight ever again. And I think me and Jared are both happy about that because it's stressful on both sides, right? It's not easy to have your buddy right there too while you're throwing down, But yeah, it's brutal. It's all the guys in Philly too. Obviously, I want to root for them, but then they're fighting guys now too. That, especially like Joe Pyfer, Gerald Mershart, buddy of mine. These guys are always fighting people I'm friends with or trained in other times, and it's like, oh, come on, man. Andre Petrosky fought Gerald too. It's like, this is not fun. So it's really difficult, honestly. And then it almost makes you sometimes talk more about the other guy because you don't want to be praising your buddy too much. So then they come at you like, hey, man, why are you talking about so-and-so all the time? It's like, well, it's better me talking about them than it is talking about you because I'll get reamed out.
Thank you for your time, and hopefully you make the best decision for you.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
When you were fighting regularly, when a fighter would call you out, your heart rate probably didn't change, but you've kind of stepped away. You put the fighting game away up in the closet and didn't think about it. When somebody calls you out, did you feel like a little bit of butterflies? Did it feel a little bit different, the call out, having that come out and revisit those thoughts and that old mentality?
Yeah, it's so weird, man. It's surreal, right? It doesn't seem like it's real life when you're like, oh, I'm done with all that, and then suddenly I'm here doing one of these things, talking about a potential fight. when I'm almost 40. And that's the thing, too. It was like, I better, if I'm going to do this, that's why I entered the pool. Because I can always say, you know what, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need this fight. I was going through something, and I figured it out. But I can, in a year from now, be like, oh, I'm almost 40. Let me re-enter the – and obviously USADA is gone now, but we're still in a testing pool that requires you to, have whereabouts and all that. So I tell you, I don't miss any of that either. I'm already like, I'm getting emails from the UFC. I'm the last one to file my whereabouts. Because I'm like, I don't even know if I'm fighting. I got to file all these whereabouts and all this kind of crap. But now it is easier than it was when USADA. But, yeah, tonight I did. I got a little bit of that. And then, of course, everyone around me is even more excited than I am about it because I knew it was kind of coming. We talked in the fighter meetings jokingly, me and Jim. And so once he got on the mic with Mike, they were like, you should tell him to push it. I'm like, I'm not telling him anything. If he doesn't call me out, it's definitely not happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I know you have to talk to the family. I know you're going to have some heart-to-hearts with the right people to decide whether it's going to happen. But is there a part of you that if it does not happen, will you be upset? Because it feels like now your head's wrapping around it. Here we are pushing it and here wanting it. If it does not happen at this point, would you feel a little bit let down?
You know, I don't. Everyone keeps saying you're going to regret it if you don't do it, and I'm like, I don't know if that's true. Fighting's hard. It's hard on the body. It's hard emotionally. It's stressful. It's scary. So, I'm not jumping back into it. I know, and now that I broadcast, I see it all the time. I see how people are weight cutting. I see how people are, fight week, the anxiety, the highs and the lows, and we're celebrating Ankalaev, but Johnny Walker's in the back with his nose twisted on the other side of his face. You know what I mean? There's a winner and a loser most times, and so I don't think so. If I decide that it's not right, I don't think I might look back and be like, I should have done it, but I won't hate myself. I mean, I get to do this. I get to be a professional broadcaster for the UFC. It's dreams coming true all over the place. If I can get back into acting and do that stuff, I've already broken my nose a bunch of times. I'm ugly enough on camera as it is. I don't need any more scars. But I'll take a few more if it feels right.
What's your desired acting role? Can you do comedy? Do you have comedic timing?
The thing I'm doing right now, I think it's a funny script, and 100%. When I was doing shows and stuff, and I was coming up through college, I thought I was pretty funny. I don't know if anybody else did. The reviews in Philadelphia at least thought I was pretty good. I was also pretty good at playing intense, crazy people, which is what I'm playing right now in the movie that I'm working on. And Hacks season 4 hopefully will be coming back. I don't know. Season 3 just wrapped. Once the strike let up, they finished season 3. I'm in 2 episodes of Hacks season 3, so that hasn't even come out yet. And the way the story is set up, and I don't see myself going anywhere. So hopefully they renew for another season, and I get to do that. Hopefully more movies and potentially a badass fight in the future. So things are looking up. I got to go get in shape, put the beers down, and maybe hold off on racing triathlon for a few more months.
Sounds like that's.
I was supposed to race April 6th. I don't know if I'll be racing April 6th anymore. Could you imagine if I raced the week before and then fought and won the next week? That'd be a good documentary.
Why not?
Any film crews that want us to show up?
Yeah, that seems like it keeps you pretty busy. It's a different kind of cardio with the triathletes and everything. How often do you train martial arts though? Still.
Yeah, it's like I said, it'll be up and down. I'll go in for a month where I'm doing every pro practice, and then I'll be gone for a couple months, and I'm like die hard. But here's the thing: when I'm training for a triathlon, I'm training 10 to 20 hours a week of endurance training. We're talking 200 plus miles on the bike, 12,000 yards of swimming a week, and probably 30 miles of running. So my resting heart rate's like 36 beats a minute when I wait. I'm getting 8 hours of sleep most nights. I'm better at 39 than I was physically at 29. Well, 1,000 million % I would beat them badly in a triathlon. Oh yeah, it's not close. Like I'm on the Everyman Jack tri team. Is the best tri team in the country right now. There's only 80 of us from Canada and the U.S. and you have to apply to be on the team. And luckily, I had a buddy that trains here in Vegas, guy Justin Reale, and these guys are professionals. These guys are the fastest age groupers in the country, hands down. Yeah. I mean, my best time, guys, nobody knows anything about this sport. My best time for a half Ironman is 4 hours and 26 minutes. I mean, that's 70.3 miles in 4 hours and 26 minutes, biking and running of it. So still haven't done under 1:30 for a half marathon yet, though, and that pisses me off. But 2:15 on the bike is my fastest 56-mile bike split. So that's like going 25 miles an hour for 2 hours, by the way. Bro, that's the thing. It's like even when I went back, I was getting my ass handed to me by Sean Brady, but I kept getting up every round. I could have done 40 of them, but I wasn't going to win any of them. That guy had an amazing hopefully something gets set up for him. And Joe Pfeiffer's got a main event coming up. Sean Brady needs a main event. Philly's on point, man. They're looking good. We've had some ups and downs. Pat Sabatini took a tough loss recently, but that gym's on the way up for sure. Okay, hey guys, thank you so much, and talk nice about me. Don't call me old or anything like that. At least Jim's old too. He's older than me, by the way.
We can do that at the last one.
Well, that means we got to wait a while then.
Yeah, at least a year.
Jim, another fantastic performance, just in front.
Yep.
How are you feeling now you've had a little bit of time to sort of reflect on your time out there?
Things just get more sore. It was a good fight. It's kind of the way I had it going in my head as I was training for this one. I had almost a full training camp for Gabriel about a year ago. And then, he unfortunately got hurt, had to pull out. So I knew what the fight was going to be like. I knew what to expect. Super tough dude. Heavy leg kicks, good straight punches. But I knew I'd have an advantage on the mat. And, I've heard that he's the hardest leg kicker at AKA, and it's like, all right, hold my beer, we can see about that. So yeah, that's the way I expected it. Good tough fight, and kind of like I sat here, a few days ago and said, even though the opportunity to fight at 300 was on the shelf or there in front of me, I wasn't going to do anything that tonight that wasn't Jim Miller style. So I went out there. I fought like I always try to fight. Sometimes I fall a little short, but my goal in every fight that I've ever been in is to come out and to be as violent as I can and to get that finish. That's the only way I'm happy is if I put somebody away.
It's funny you mentioned that Jim Miller style. It's kind of crazy, right? I feel like in this sport we're so used to someone being good, and then suddenly overnight they fall off and they're nowhere near the skill level. But you have maintained the same level and consistency throughout your whole career. First of all, what do you attribute that to? And secondly, do you just see I'm just going to keep going until that day comes, or I'm going to know before anyone else does, and I'm going to get out before that day comes?
I'm gonna know really, and it's not the fights necessarily, right? It's more so the training camps. Training as a 40-year-old lightweight. I have to make concessions, on every day. It's about sacrificing certain things. My goals when I step onto the mat to train is to be healthy, and then to be in shape, and then to be good at what I'm good at, and then to be ready for what my opponent brings. So I'm not going to do anything like the silly stuff, like starting bad positions, all this stuff. Oh, this guy's good at arm bars. Let's start in an arm bar. Like, no, like we're been there, done that. I've got those reps in. So, yeah, like if I can't make it through the camps, then I know it's going to be it's time to hang them up. The other side of that, what I attribute this career to, there's too much. Like I could go on for an hour. I think, the lazy answer is luck and genetics, But there's been a lot. There's definitely a lot. I about a decade ago, right, decided to start my own gym and go to the small gym, right, and do it with a small team of guys that I can trust, that can give me the looks that I need, and make sure that I'm healthy and improving, and not have to deal with some of the things that you have to deal with at big gyms. Like there's definitely a positive to it, but then like one of the reasons that I left and started there was too many negatives. There's too many negatives. It's like, oh, here's this, random Chechnyan or something like that, doesn't speak English. We can't tell him what to do, and he's like stomping knees and stuff like that, So, because it's like, hey, he's got potential, which is great, and you want the guy to come in and help you become a better fighter, but there are a lot of careers that have been cut short by injuries in rounds that they didn't need to do in the gym, and silly mistakes. And also going to that small gym where then I was kind of the guy in control of my own, destiny. Like there's positives to that and there's negatives to that. I mean, having somebody push you is great, but I've always been able to push myself. So like, I've got great guys. They'll do what I ask, and push the hell out of me. But it's like, as you get into your mid to late 30s as a fighter, it's like the number of bad days that you have on the mats, it goes up quite a bit. When you're 26, it's like you have one bad day a year. When you're 36, it's like riding a roller coaster. So while there are a lot of great coaches, around the world, and they love their guys, they're not inside their body. They don't know what they feel like, and I feel like if the fighters had a little bit, I don't know, like we're more willing maybe to say like, hey, coach, today might not be the day, it's sparring day, but today might not be the day for me. Yeah. And the problem is you feel like a bitch. Like it's hard, like we get into a cage and beat the crap out of each other, and it's like it's hard to tell somebody that you care about and that cares about you and that wants you to be successful. We need to throttle back today. That's a really difficult thing to do. So like me not having to do that and me being able to gauge it myself, I think saved me a lot of injuries in the gym so that I can still be coming into the octagon healthy and fighting well.
I feel like every single time you've been in front of us for the last multiple years, right? UFC 300 has been the question, been the storyline. It's here.
Yeah.
Like, you have it now. It's right there. Is Paul Felder the guy that you think you should step in there and celebrate that occasion with? I
don't know. I like Paul and I almost fought, when was that, 2015? I think that fight would be brutal. Like, I think that is a brutal fight, me and him locked in a cage for 15 minutes. I also think that Matt Brown fight is amazing as well. I think it's awesome because, one, I don't have to cut weight, and two, he's the guy with like the most finishes at welterweight. I'm the guy with most finishes at lightweight. Like that's a fight for 300, right? Like, let's put on a show. Let's go out. Let's entertain. And I'm willing to move up in weight for that type of event. Like, it's not like I'm trying to get my rankings up or anything like that. Particularly 300. I would hop in at any moment if Sean called me for those types of fights. Honestly, Sean, if you're watching, but yeah, like I want to I want to put on an epic show with two badass dudes that have been around for a bit, and I think Matt might be that guy.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Would you notice now, like obviously you're not the same fighter you were back then, but would you notice now it's harder for you to get into fight condition at 40 than at 26? And obviously now, how do you feel now after the win? Besides, your emotions, but your body.
Fight condition is not. It's changed, right? Like I was constantly training. Like it would be like I'd go through a fight like this, and I'd be back in the gym in 5 days. So I'm going to need a little bit more time because the recovery doesn't happen like it used to. But I'd say like getting into fight shape, fight conditioning it's just different. I've got great coaches in Martin Rooney and Nick Barringer who helped me with my diet and strength and conditioning. And I think we've got things dialed in pretty well. I might not always listen to my dietitian, but I think we've got things worked out. I had a period in my career a few years ago where I felt like I wasn't getting into shape. I wasn't conditioned enough, and we kind of figured that out. And also like the whole sleep thing. Like if I could tell anybody, like get 8 hours of sleep, just please. It's a free performance enhancing thing. Like it's the best. And I used to be a 5-hour a night kind of guy and just caffeinate the heck out of myself. So, but yeah, like my body has changed, and yeah, I'm different. I'm different now than I was. I think I fight a lot smarter. I think I'm having more fun out there, which makes me more dangerous, honestly, because I used to have such bad tunnel vision that I would miss things. But yeah, like I'm not gonna sit here and try to be, the fighter I was when I was 26.
Also, what would you like to see for the rest of your career? Like, what would be the textbook for Mr. Miller?
I don't know. Yeah, get a great fight on 300. Like I said, a couple days ago, I don't know if Bruce will introduce me as Jim fucking Miller. I don't know if he swears while he's working. He definitely swears when he's not. But yeah, right. So yeah, I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool to maybe open the pay-per-view with that. I think doing that in front of the T-Mobile full of fans would be awesome. I think that would get me super fired up. And then after that, like let's put on some great fights. I'm not the type to name names. So like there's lots of guys out there that I'd love to get the opportunity to share the octagon with.
Not names, but 50 fights and 30 wins. Would either one of those numbers interest you?
30 wins would be pretty awesome. That would be really awesome. I'm not really like hanging myself on any of the numbers, to be perfectly honest. Like, I think that who I am, and the legacy that I have isn't those numbers. It's how I've carried myself through the ups and downs that I've had to deal with. And when a guy like Mike Bisping, like is complimenting me inside the octagon, like that's it means the world to me, like so. I'm gonna continue to do what I'm doing, and I'll make the decisions on like next steps. But yeah, let's just keep going for now.
You got another $50,000 performance of the night. Have anything on the top of your head? What you're doing with that?
Have you seen prices at the grocery store? I got 4 kids, and they're getting older, and they eat like friggin' horses. No, like hopefully focus on assets at this point. Something that can pay me more, make me more money.
So not a new tractor?
No, not. I was telling my wife that I would like a bigger tractor, but in order to get a bigger tractor, I need more land. So I think I need to take that first step.
Makes sense. And then finally for me, Nicholas Moda fought on the prelims, and he said back here that he hoped to tell you that like his situation was almost like he fought somebody coming off a UFC debut. He's the veteran, and he went out and knocked him out, just like what you did to him. So I guess is that kind of cool, just like a full circle moment?
Kind of, yeah. You know, I mean, it's he's a good dude. He's a great fighter. I love watching him fight. Yeah, so it's you know, like I don't want to, I don't know, like ruin it by saying, but like, you know, the respect that I get from my peers, like it means everything to me, you know? So like, you know, that's, I think that's what we should all, you know, be striving for, is the people that have been in the trenches with you to understand what you've done. And, yeah, like if I can have a positive effect on, you know, some of these newer guys' careers and the way they go about it and the way they carry themselves, then that makes me happy.
Going back to the right here, how you want Bruce to introduce you. Were you surprised at how the fans kind of like really got behind that immediately and were really supportive, or have you noticed the fans have always kind of been supportive of that sort of stuff with you?
They've always been kind of supportive of that stuff, you know. Like, so I didn't expect it to like explode like it did, but yeah, like it's you know, I earned that nickname, right? Like, I earned that nickname by the way that I do business inside the octagon and even outside, right? Like, and I earned that nickname from a guy that was at, you know, matchmaking at UFC 2. So for when Joe Silva calls you that, it's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm glad that the fans are behind it, and you know, it's not the easiest nickname to to promote, but you know, it's there.
Would you settle for a effing?
I would. Well, not in the octagon. No, come on. He's got to say it. He's got to say it. You know, if we're doing T-shirts, I could do effing.
Over here. Paul was just in here, and I asked him about his original approach for you back in 2015 where you're supposed to fight. So I guess now that you're in here, what was you and your team's original approach to fighting Paul?
I can't remember. Yeah, you know, that was 2015. That was like the dark ages for me, unfortunately. You know, so there was a period that I don't have a lot of memories about, and that was one of them. So yeah, I remember preparing for him to be a good striker and throw a lot of kicks and spinning stuff. And, you know, he fought some of my training partners on the local circuit and stuff like that. So we had a little, you know, a little scouting on him. But, you know, that was like, there was time in between that. And obviously, you know, we're looking at 9 years. So it's a totally different fight nowadays.
Fair enough. And I know UFC 300 is kind of like a bucket list thing for you in the fight game. So once you get that done, is there another bucket list item, maybe like fighting a specific place or specific opponent before it's all settled?
I want to fight. I want to fight back home once more. You know, I would like to fight at the Prudential Center. I think that would be bring things kind of full circle. You know, MSG might suffice, but you know, like I'm from New Jersey, so I'm not from New York. And if we're going to be honest, the New York Commission is a pain in the ass to work with. So, you know, yeah, I'd like to fight closer to home so that, you know, more of my training partners and family and friends can come, you know, share one of or the last, you know, fight that I have.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know when you first sat down, you said you weren't done yet, but you said maybe another year. I don't know if that meant, you know, 2024 in general. By the end of the year, maybe this could be that year that, you know, if you kind of hit those goalposts, has your mind started settling on the fact that this could be the end year? And if not, I know you talked about UFC 300 so many years ago, and then it was right around the corner. Just want to throw out that if 2005 was you could make 20 years if you make it to 2025.
65? Maybe. Yeah.
Gotta love that. So, I mean, you did say sort of maybe a year, so I don't know if in your brain you've already started wrapping around possibly the end of this year, but next year, if you make it to 2025, that's 20 years.
That
That'd be
is.
pretty cool as well.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I've been playing it kind of fight by fight at this point. You know, like it's you know, I've said it plenty of times before that I look at every opportunity that I get to fight after, you know, like 200, right? UFC 200, UFC 196, just around then, as a gift, man. Like I'm super appreciative to be able to do this and to continue to be able to do this. And I know that it's not typical. It's definitely atypical to be able to go through the camps, to go through the fights, and to be able to continue in a difficult athletic endeavor. You know, as a 40-year-old, especially as a lightweight. So like, I'm just happy to be here. Like I was, you know, I'm in the back and I'm like ear to ear, you know, cheesing it up. Yeah, like who knows? Who knows what's gonna, you know, when the last one's gonna be at this point? There's definitely the talks have been going on with me and my wife, and yeah, like we're preparing for it. We're preparing for the day that I'm not fighting anymore. You know, the toughest part is that like when I do get a fight nowadays, it's like I got to be all in. You know, so you know, and still all in with the kids and stuff like that and the family. So like this was a difficult camp for me. You know, helping the boys out with wrestling, coaching wrestling, and you know, my oldest is in basketball, and you know, my other daughter's in dance, so my wife's always there with dance with her. So we're like two ships in the night. You know, once like 5 o'clock hits, so packed all my training into, you know, Monday through Friday, and you know, during the day when the kids were at school, and it was there was nothing else getting done. So, you know, that's the tough part, is like that transition to life after fighting. I have to be able to be working on that, and you know, now that I've got a couple weeks before I have to ramp it back up, I'll be focusing on that type of stuff, and trying to ease the transition, you know, into the next stage of my professional career.
Which has got to be still kind of crazy because you're having these moments of brilliance in a lot of your recent fights, and it's got to be, here we are saying, well, you're obviously done soon, and you're pulling out magnificent things that we've seen. That, I mean, it's got to be a weird thought in your head, like, is it really time?
Well, you know, when you get up and you're like on fight day, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so sore, you know, like I didn't do anything yesterday. I cut a little weight, but my low back was all tight. So I can turn it on for 15 minutes. I could turn it on for 25, given the opportunity. But yeah, it's harder. It's definitely harder, and I feel it. And you know, it's all the things that you guys don't see, and you know, like the performances inside the octagon. That's me at my, you know, in my world, in my realm, and what I was made to do, right? So. It's all the little things, you know, outside of that where that make it a lot more difficult, you know, being a 40-year-old.
Yeah, we just got to keep you away from picking up things in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly, right? You know, like just wheel me around, and yeah, just push me onto the mat twice a day, you know, maybe onto the bike once, and yeah, that, and then back to bed.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the victory. It was
Thank you.
One heck of a performance.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations on the win. How are you feeling right now?
Поздравляю с победой, как себя чувствуешь?
Спасибо, чувствую себя хорошо.
Thank you very much, I feel great.
How different did it feel this time compared to the last time with Johnny Walker?
Насколько было отличие в бою сегодня против того боя, который был в октябре с Джонни Уокером? Чем отличался бой сегодня от того боя?
Ну, можно сказать, ничем не отличался, так как я знал, что я его выиграю и в том бою, и в этом. Я чувствую, что сейчас мое время, поэтому я сделал свою работу.
Not that much different. I mean, I also knew I was going to win back then as well, so I won now. And, this is my time, and I did my job, and I won the fight.
Obviously, anyone that knows Johnny Walker knows that he'll throw some creative stuff at his opponent. So how did you deal with that, given that he was active pretty early on throwing his things?
Понятное дело, что все, кто выходит против Джонни Уокера, ожидают от него каких-то непонятных ударов или чего-то странного такого. Как ты знал, как ты смог с этим справиться?
Ну, я тоже ждал, я ему дал первый раунд поработать. Я посмотрел, что он будет делать. Я хотел почувствовать, увижу ли я его нестандартные удары. Но меня не удивило. В общем,
Yeah, I also knew to expect some strange stuff from him. I gave him the first round so he's able to work. I wanted to see if I can see his tactics, see the stuff that he's throwing out, if I could catch it. And then, nothing surprised me, so that's why the second round I did what I did.
And following your win, Glover Teixeira went on social media and posted, "Congratulations, see you soon," referring to you and your victory. So if the UFC decides to go down that path, how do you see that fight going with Alex Pereira?
Итак, после твоей победы Гловер Тешера вышел на Твиттер и сказал, что поздравляю с победой, скоро увидимся. Понятное дело, что он говорит про чемпиона сейчас, про Алекса Перейра. Если UFC действительно решит дать тебе бой против Перейры, что ты думаешь, как он пройдет?
Я мог прийти и сразу повалить Джонни Уокера тоже. И закончить бой в партере, так как я хочу биться в стойке, показать людям зрелище. Поэтому я хочу такое маленькое послание делать Тишере. Не стоит тратить время на борьбу, я могу Перейру нокаутировать тоже так же в стойке. Так как его уже нокаутировали на много вес меньше, на 84 килограмм, а на 93, я думаю, ему будет очень тяжело. Я думаю, он в скором времени почувствует это.
I could have come out here today and wrestled against Johnny Walker. Could have taken him down right away and won with my ground and pound on the ground. But instead, I wanted to send a message. I wanted to stand up and I wanted to knock him out, and that's what I did. Now, for Glover Teixeira, I have a message. Don't waste your time trying to teach your student how to wrestle or grapple. He's not going to need it. I'm going to come out there. I'm going to stand across from him. And I know that he's been knocked out before as a middleweight. So imagine what's going to happen if I meet him in light heavyweight. Trust me, he's not going to feel comfortable there.
You think you're his hardest style matchup he would come across in the UFC?
Как тебе кажется, ты для него будешь самым сложным оппонентом, который когда-либо он видел в UFC?
Не только для него, я считаю, для любого бойца со мной будет очень тяжело.
Not just for him, but to any fighter across from me, it's going to be a very hard fight.
Fair enough. And obviously, you fought for the title before. It was kind of a last-minute change with Jiri having to vacate. And obviously, the fight went to a draw. Didn't go the way you wanted to, but people like Blachowicz said you deserved the title right there, and a lot of people had it going your way. So how did you manage your emotions knowing you were really close to getting the title, and now you possibly might be back in that situation?
Понятное дело, что ты уже сражался один раз за титул, в то время, когда Джири пришлось его освободить. Тогда ты сражался против Блаховича, бой закончился в ничью, и даже Блахович и многие другие считали, что, наверное, ты действительно заслуживал титула в то время. Теперь получается, что у тебя возможность за титул драться будет еще раз. Как ты справляешься со своими эмоциями? Как ты все это в себе в голове как бы по полочкам расставляешь? Как ты все это понимаешь?
После того боя я уже чувствовал себя чемпионом, так как я сделал достаточно, чтобы мою руку подняли. Но судьи решили сделать это ничего. С того времени я уже чувствую себя чемпионом. И Если мне дадут сейчас шанс биться за пояс с Перейрой, я думаю, мы сделаем это очень красиво и зрелищно.
I've been considering myself a champ since that fight. For whatever reason, the judges decided that it was going to be a draw and I didn't get my chance. Now I have a chance again to fight for the title. So if I get to fight against Pereira, I think we're going to have a great fight. It's going to be a fire fight. It's going to be an exciting fight. And we're going to do our job and I'm going to get my title back because I'm already feeling like a champion.
And obviously, Jamal Hill won the title the month after that, and unfortunately, he had to vacate the belt as well. But Dana White did say that when he's ready, he will get a shot at that. So if he is next, do you want to sit around and wait for the winner of that, or would you be willing to take one more?
Только через месяц после твоего боя с Блаховичем получилось, что Джамал Хилл выиграл этот пояс, но потом тоже ему пришлось освободить этот пояс из-за того, что у него травма. И Дэйна Уайт сказал, что когда он будет готов снова сражаться, то он получит шанс сражаться за титул. Если получится, что ему дадут шанс первому, ты готов ждать просто того момента, когда тебе дадут этот шанс, или ты хочешь продолжать быть активным?
Ну, я думаю, здесь больше заслуживаю я, чем Джамал Хилл. Почему? Потому что у меня 10 боев, 10 побед, из них 6 нокаутов. У Джамала Хилла сколько боев всего? Где-то 8 боев у него, и я думаю, я заслуживаю больше.
I think here the math works out the way that I'm more deserving of the belt because I have 10 victories, 6 of them knockouts, and Jamal Hill has 8 fights total in the UFC. So it's just clear that I'm a more deserving contender than Jamal Hill.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, Magomed, I have a question for you. UFC 300 does not have a main event right now. Would you be willing to fight Alex Pereira at UFC 300?
UFC 300 сейчас не имеет главного события. UFC 300 в апреле 13 числа. Ты готов был выйти за титул против Перейры в апреле 13?
Конечно, я готов. Я жду сообщения.
Of course I'm ready. I'm just waiting for the message that I'm going in.
Congratulations.